Hi everybody. Tonight we are going to spend a little more time discussing my experiences I've had so far in treating the ick infection I've got in this tank. This is my 20 long open top, and if you're not familiar with what's going on here, real briefly, I recently inadvertently introduced ick into this tank. Despite quarantining the animals, I did not pay close enough attention when moving them from the quarantine to the tank, and they were infected with ick, and I simply did not notice this. So about a week before this happened, I decided to shoot a video about ick, and I actually did a discussion video about how to treat ick using heat. And when this happened, coincidentally, I just decided this would be a good opportunity to do the actual practical demonstration and do a full treatment with the heat. Now, I always believe it's a good idea to have multiple options rather than simply one, way of doing things, or one option should you run into any unusual circumstances. It's always nice to have alternatives. So, treating with medication, to me that just wouldn't have been much of an experience. It wouldn't have been any kind of video whatsoever. I mean, I could have just said, hey everybody, my tank's got ick, and then I put some medication in it, I followed the instructions, and then, it did what it said it was going to do. That's not really much of a video. How do you treat a tank naturally without using medications, without having to purchase products, without really having to do a whole lot other than make some simple adjustments to your tank? That's what I wanted to do. And frankly, I like experimenting with things, and this gave me a good opportunity to. It's been quite a while since I've dealt with it. I was very inexperienced the last time I dealt with it. And this time I wanted to try it a little differently. I used salt in addition to heat the first time I dealt with it, and this time I wanted to use heat alone. So I've made some mistakes, and I've lost some fish. And I lost another fish today. In fact, I've lost several fish today. And it was not due to the ick, it was due to my treatment. And I'm going to more or less explain how, once again, a simple bonehead mistake on my part, a very preventable mistake, cost me my Madagascan rainbow fish. I thought perhaps I could have rescued it this morning. I spent a few hours trying to revive it in cooler water, but it did not make it. My longfin bristlenose Pleco was also in dire straits this morning when I got up. That one has made a full recovery and looks fine, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. So what I decided to do was treat with heat alone, and I actually ran the temperature up to 90.1 or 90.5 degrees. It fluctuated up to between 90 and 90.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the purpose of doing this was, first of all, to greatly accelerate the life cycle of ick. The faster you run it through its life cycle and heat it up, the faster you run it out of your tank and kill it. So my plan was to run it at 90 degrees for the first 4 days. That should be more than enough time to run a full life cycle and theoretically wipe it out and eradicate it with that temperature. After that, I was going to reduce the temperature to 86 degrees for the remainder of the full 10-day period. I always recommend going that full 10-day period, or at least 3 to 4 days after the last little trace of white spots. Either or, whatever comes first. If you've still got white spots after some days, you still keep treating until several days beyond any white spots. So this morning would have been day 4, or today is day 4, and last night I noticed my glow light Tetras started looking really rough. They look like they're really taking a beating from this heat. They're all discolored. They do not look good at all. They still don't, in fact. They do look a little better, but they still don't look good. My Madagascan rainbow fish and my Pleco looked fine. I saw no indication whatsoever that there was any other animal suffering any distress. So I went and I looked up the glow light Tetras, and it says pretty much every source I looked at, it says 82 to 83 is the upper end. Again, I consider that tropical fish temperatures, and as long as fish are tropical fish temperature type fish and can deal with low to mid 80s, 90 is not going to put them under too much stress for a few days. So I said, okay, that's fine. I can push it one more day, so I'll get that full 4 days in of 90 degrees. I come down this morning, and the first thing I noticed was my Pleco lying on its side, on the bottom, panting like a dog in a hot car. Of course my alarm bells went off immediately. That did not look good at all. And as I began inspecting the tank, I quickly noticed that while the rainbow fish was swimming around normally, its colors were not right at all. It was really, really blotchy and funny looking, really looked bad. So I considered what to do, and what I decided to do was take the Pleco out and put it in my quarantine tank, which is actually an unheated tank down here. It runs about 72 degrees, maybe 73 degrees, depending on how warm the room is on any given day. So I also considered how to go about doing that. Do I just put it in, or do I gradually lower the temperature? I decided to just put it in there. I know if a person is having a heat stroke or suffering from heat exhaustion, you don't gradually bring their temperature down. You bring it down as quickly as you can. You pull the heat out of their body. So I decided that that was going to be my best option. As bad as this fish looked, I figured it was as good as dead anyway. So I put it right into the fairly cold tank. Now we're talking a temperature drop of nearly 20 degrees. And within minutes it started looking better, its color started coming back, and in about an hour or so it was swimming around normally. And I'm looking at it right now. It's up on the underside of a rock, it's doing its thing, it looks perfectly normal. You'd never know anything happened to it. So I had good success with doing that. However, I left the rainbow fish in the tank for a couple of hours. I went out, I ran some errands, I decided I was going to check on it when I got back. And of course when I got back it was swimming on its side and bumping into things and going in corkscrews. And that's pretty much it when fish are doing that. I did, however, put it in the cold water, or the cooler water. I put it in the room temperature tank, the quarantine tank. And I gave it several hours, and it did survive for about 4 more hours. And I watched and hoped, and eventually its gill movement stopped and everything, and so that was that. So what are my mistakes here? What have I done that is so wrong and bad? Well, the first thing I did was I failed to do a lot of research before I did this. I did all the research, 10 days ago or whenever I did the video on ick. I've done research on ick enough times. I'm very familiar with ick. This isn't anything, real complicated. It's a simple heat treatment. What I didn't do was research all the fish in the tank. I assumed that they were all tropical fish, tropical temperature type fish. The rainbow fish in particular, I even considered and thought, well, it's a rainbow fish. Those things are tough as nails in most cases. This one I know has been in my brackish tank. It's a euryhaline animal. They can, extreme water changes don't bother them. I just figured that's not the fish to worry about. If anything, it would be either the neons or the glow lights. But again, I just didn't do any research on the upper end temperatures of any of these animals until I saw the glow lights looking bad. And then I looked at them, but no other fish. I didn't see any signs of stress in any other fish, so I never bothered. Well, when I looked up the rainbow fish this morning, out of the 4 or 5 different sources I checked, the highest temperature I found was 77 degrees. Most of them said either 74 or 75 was the upper end of its temperature range. So I just cooked my rainbow fish. I put it in temperatures so far beyond its upper end limit, there was just no way it was going to survive that. It did survive 3.5 days before it even began showing signs of stress. And then, of course, by then, it was too late. I just pushed it beyond what it could deal with. I have brought the temperature of the tank down to 86 degrees. I am going to go on as I've started. I am going to continue doing the heat treatment. I've had a lot of people, ask me, like, dude, if you're having issues and you're having fish suffering, why don't you just do the meds and do it, And, I don't want to do that. Again, I've already explained that anybody can do that. I want to find out about this, and you can, I appreciate if you've got your opinions on how ethical that may be or whatever, but somebody has to learn these things, and I think it's important to do these practical demonstrations. I'm not going into this with careless disregard. I'm not happy about having to do this video. It's another painful lesson I've learned, but I'm not going to let that go to waste. I'm going to share that lesson, so hopefully you won't have to make it. I'm going to continue with the heat treatment because I feel that I've already made my mistakes. I've looked at the fish. I know what their upper temperatures are. I'm concerned about the glow lights because they still don't look very good, but we're still going to continue because in theory they're now only a couple degrees above where they should be. So this is going to be a lesson. Here's where the stupidity on my part comes in, and where I just want to kick myself. The whole reason for doing this sort of thing is so that we've got alternatives. You know, I could medicate the tanks. I don't have anything against medicating the tanks. People, you know, I'm not this super all-natural guy that like doesn't want to ever use medications or whatever. If it's just not necessary, I don't see the point in it. I don't see the point in going out and buying meds when I can just run my temperatures a little warmer. I also like to be able to provide my viewers with different experiences, and I like to tinker with things. I like to learn how this stuff works for myself. So there's a lot of reasons I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. And what that does is it gives me and it gives you alternatives. If you've got a tank that can't do meds because of whatever reason, if you've got certain fish or certain plants or whatever your reasons are, you don't have access to them perhaps. Well, now you'll have an alternative. You can say, I know I can treat for ick doing it this way. So what my mistake was, is this tank is exactly one of those circumstances. I had a fish in there that actually prevented me from really being able to treat it this way, so that, you know, I need the alternative of having to be able to treat it that way. And in this case, the way I should have treated it was with meds, because I had a fish in there that could not deal with the temperatures required to treat with heat. I always say that backwards. So here I got the perfect opportunity to say, look everybody, here's one of these unusual circumstances where I'm limited on my options of what I can do and how I can treat for ick. And yet I chose the wrong option. I chose the heat treating option rather than going the med route, and it's cost me another fish. I did find, I did find 2 more neons today that were dead. But that I don't necessarily know that I'm going to chalk up to any one thing. These are all still neons that are fairly new from the big chain pet store, and I always give them about a 60% survival rate over the first month, and they're in about a month in now. So between the ick, between the heat treatment, between the being transferred from one tank to the next, you know, how did 2 more neons die? I don't know. I'm sure what's going on isn't helping. But that could simply be that they were doomed from the start because they were just neons that came home from the big chain pet store. You know, my rainbow fish was from the heat. The stress I can see in the glow lights is from the heat. There's no doubt about that. The good news in this video is that my chocolate zebra plecos, the surviving 3, are doing fine. They've gone back to fairly normal behavior. Now that I've got the other pleco in my quarantine tank, there's even more room on the bottom. We're two animals short on the bottom now. So there's a lot more real estate available, and everybody's been jostling for position, and I'm really happy to see this very normal behavior. The spots have reduced noticeably. In the last 6 hours, I've watched them go from being very visible to almost gone. I can't find any spots on the neons anymore. I did see one glow light that had a few spots on one fin, so I still do have some spots on the fish, but I'm almost literally watching them vanish before my eyes as the days progress. So we're fully into day 4 now, and we are down to 86.1 degrees, and that's where we're going to run it for the next 6 days. And again, I really hope I don't have to shoot any more of these videos, but I've said all along, you know, you're going to get my experience. I'm not trying to tell you that this is the way to do it or not to do it. I'm just saying this is how I do it and this is what's happening. So, you know, if what you take away from this video is, man, I'm never treating with heat because I don't want to, that's great. All right, you know, you took something away from this. So that's all my goal is just to share my experiences, and you know, good or bad, and hopefully we can all, you know, benefit. I've made mistakes in the past. Again, I know I'm going to do them in the future, and I always say I will document them, good and bad. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do so. We've still got 6 more days of this. I've got other stuff going on. I've been lax on, you know, obviously all my focus has been on this tank. I really got to get working on the gourami tank. I got to do some serious pruning and plant removal in there. You know, water changes. I've got a round the world update to do. So lots coming up. This tank's going to be top priority until then. So stay tuned. Lots more coming up. Subscribe if you're not. Thanks for watching. See you real soon.